nyeupe ya amani. Daima mimi Mkenya, mwananchi mzalendo. Mzalendo, kwa uchungu na mateso, kwa vilio na huzuni, tulinyakuliwa uhuru na mashujaa wa zamani. Hawakushtushwa na risasi au kufungwa gerezani. Nia yao ukombozi, kuvunja pingu za ukoloni. Daima Kenya, hakika ya bendera ni uthabiti wangu. Nyeusi ya wananchi na nyekundu ni ya damu, kijani ni ya ardhi, nyeupe ya amani. Daima mimi Mkenya, mwananchi mzalendo.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, so it is in order for us to wish our media fraternity a very happy New Year, and all of us Kenyans. We had occasion to do that. We issued a statement on the 30th of December as our New Year message to the country. And I think after that, President Ruto issued a similar end of the year thing himself from Kisii State Lodge. So this is a statement by the people. The Honorable Eugene Wamalwa will probably join us at some stage. If he doesn't, he's busy trying to prepare his party's offices, not very far from here. But we have his understanding that we can continue. My brother Jeremiah Kioni, Secretary General of Jubilee, is with us. We also have former Governor Waititu, and we have senators here, as you can see. The Senate Minority Leader, Senator Fukitui Wanombua. We have ranking members like Mheshimiwa member for Dr. Makali from Kitui Central. We have Senator Maanzo here, Senator Agnes Kavindu, and Mheshimiwa Mule, a ranking member. He's right here behind me, member for Matungulu. Mheshimiwa Kimilu, member for Kaiti. Where is Mheshimiwa Kimilu? He's right here. Yeah, I'm taller than him. Mheshimiwa Mawade, member for Embakasi South. and a team of MCAs from there. Mheshimiwa Mwalika. Where's Mheshimiwa Mwalika? Ah, that one is tall. Hey, it's okay. Member for Kitui Rural. Mheshimiwa, Philip Kisia, as you know, has effectively taken over as the CEO for a coalition. Mheshimiwa Philip Kisia is right there. And we have Speaker Kitui County, I've seen him. Kitui County Assembly, I've seen him. And MCAs from Kitui can also raise their hands. We've seen them. MCAs Nairobi. Yeah, well done. Machakos MCAs, I think there are some here. Very good. Actually, the reason I say that, because it's the tail end of my statement. I'll be talking about Honorable Farah Malim. And he's been a party member for WIPA. So you see a representative group of members of that party. Fellow Kenyans, let us first pay tribute to three immediate Kenyans who left their marks on our republic. Professor Abdallah S. Bujra passed away on January 7th, 2025. Professor Bujra was a gallant son of Kenya and Africa and made great contribution to African integration and leadership and cutting-edge thinking on African development. Like the late Professor Ali Mazrui, Professor Bujra was recognized and appreciated outside Kenya's borders more than within. He served the continent as the first full-time executive secretary of the Council for the Development of Economic and Social Research in Africa, one of the premier research institutions in our continent, as well as the Organization of African Union, OAU, as it then was, in various capacities, including as a CEO of the International Panel of Eminent Personalities between 1998 and 2000. He was a founding director of boards of Muturi and Katiba Institute in Kenya. Russian Wara was an incredible writer who sadly passed away this week from a battle with cancer. Her words, printed and written every week in different publications, both home and abroad, left a lasting impression, speaking truth to the heart. Whatever the subject, Russian questioned and demanded accountability. She was one of a kind, and compromising and apologetic in Kenyan. Yesterday evening, we learned of the passing on of senior counsel, our sister Judy Thongori. Thongori was an accomplished and celebrated family and human rights lawyer in Kenya. The region, and the international stage. Gender equality and equity were her forte. She took on many cases pro bono and contributed to the intellectual input in the constitutional making process. I know the senior bar council have been on this, led by the chairman of senior bar council, Fred Ojambo. And a lot is going in that space in celebrating the life of our sister senior counsel, Judy Thongori. In their honor, let us have a minute silence. January the 12th, Public Service Cabinet Secretary Justin Muturi, in a stunning during a press conference, outlined in shocking detail the harrowing tale of his son, Leslie Muturi's abduction on June the 22nd, 2024, while in the company of Embakasi West MP Honorable Mark Mwenje and driver Marangui Manyara. Honorable Muturi, who was serving as the Attorney General of the Republic of Kenya at the time of his son's abduction, said that he had been waiting for answers for the last 6 months as to why his son was abducted. What should be of concern to any law-abiding citizen is that Honorable Muturi, as Attorney General of the Republic of Kenya, sat on the National Security Council, the top security organ in the country. Honorable Muturi has been seeking answers for the past 6 months They have not been forthcoming to someone so senior in the Kenya Kwanza regime. So senior should be a matter of grave concern to all of us. Following Honorable Muturi's statement, the Director of Criminal Investigations, Mr. Amin, invited the Cabinet Secretary to record a statement. If the idea was to cower Honorable Muturi into silence, they picked on the wrong man. If the bombshell of the Sunday statement was not enough, Honorable Muturi's signed statement clearly and squarely pointed the blame at the main culprit behind the inhuman abductions. A man who joked, made light of the abductions and Gen Z's demonstrations, a man who placed one phone call inside of the State House Nairobi Pavilion to the National Intelligence Service Director General, Nuruddin Haji, and had Leslie Muturi released within an hour. That man, as you have previously stated, is President William Ruto. Fellow Kenyans, the revelations by Secretary Muturi on the identity of the Commander-in-Chief of the abduction squads is quite telling. If the Attorney General of the Republic of Kenya cannot get answers to the whereabouts of his son, who can? If the Attorney General cannot get his phone calls answered by junior staff, such as the DG of NIS, or the DCI Director, who can? If the then Interior Cabinet Secretary, Professor Kithure Kindiki, and PS Raymond Omolo are furnished with lies by their juniors, what is the state of the Kenya Kwanza regime? Fellow Kenyans, the Kenya Kwanza regime has established command and control structures outside of the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya, carrying out illegal and criminal activities against Kenyans. We have actually since established that some headquarters of this abduction squad was somewhere near Ruaraka. As we have previously stated, William Ruto is a commander-in-chief of the abduction squads. This has been clearly demonstrated by his own public pronouncements on the abductions, as well as those of his conceited cronies in government. Kenyans and the international community should read between the lines. Mr. Ruto and his lieutenants' chest thumping over 2 weeks ago in Bungoma was not only a gross violation of Mr. Ruto's oath of office, it also bore all the hallmarks of a dictatorship and a crude attempt to instill fear in Kenyans by subduing them into silence. Mr. Ruto's dictatorship, which now kidnaps and tortures people in underground prisons, must be considered as a renegade criminal enterprise. And this in accordance with the ICC's Rome Statute. And for the avoidance of doubt, the Director General of NSIS could not be held responsible alone. The ICC statute talks about the person bearing the highest responsibility. And that is not Nuruddin Haji, that is William Samoei Arap Ruto. The People's Loyal Opposition will not sit back and allow this disgraceful attempt to take us back into the dark days of fear and oppression. We shall lead from the front. You've actually demonstrated leadership from the front because you've been in court. We'll fight them in court, we'll fight them in the streets, we'll fight them everywhere. We demand that Mr. Ruto respects Kenyans and the oath of office he has sworn to preserve under Kenya's Constitution 2010. We also demand the immediate release of the remaining abductees. We actually have a date on the 27th with the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Kanja, before Justice Bahati Namui. And they know what the ruling was by Justice Bahati. If they will not show up on the 27th, he will cite, convict, and sentence on the spot. So nobody's above the law. Not even Director General Kanja or Director DCI, Mr. Amin. If Ruto refuses to respect and enforce Kenya's constitution and laws, the solution is straightforward. He should resign. And the world is changing. Just today or yesterday, a sitting president of the Republic of South Korea was arrested in State House. We celebrate this kind of development because people must be held to account. This is what the Gen Zs have been advocating for. Meanwhile, let Mr. Ruto and all others who perpetrate violent crimes against Kenyans know that they will not go unpunished. On the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission, IBC, we have been very clear and consistent and followed the law at all times. Those who are barriers to the establishment of the IBC selection panel are puppets of Mr. Ruto. They bear the highest responsibility in the current constitutional crisis and an attempt to pre-rig the 2027 general elections. We will not allow that to happen. And I will ask my brother Kioni to respond to some of the remarks by some of these renegades who can even say they know how to manufacture presidents is beyond 24 years. These renegades must be called out. Lastly, for avoidance of doubt, Honorable Farah Malim, who until now has been Wiper Democratic Party's deputy leader, stands expelled from the Wiper Democratic movement for violating the Constitution and the rights of Kenyans, and even abusing Kenyan mothers. Thank you, and God bless you. Mheshimiwa Kioni.
Seems to have staged a civilian coup because he has refused to constitute the IEBC. It's been confirmed here by Muturi that the abductions were really under his command, because he's the one who made the call and the young man was released. So if your son or daughter is released and you cannot get hold of William Ruto, what does that mean to us? We are on our own. When we have the likes of Sudi, Kamket, Kimani Ichung'wah, and Farah Malim, allowing the utterances that we have heard from their mouths in the presence of William Ruto, and to the amusement of him, William Ruto, kwa sababu yeye ndio alikuwa anapiga makofi kuliko wananchi wanapotukana watu. It means that the center is not holding, and we as Kenyans must heed the call that has been made by our leader, and we must prepare to do what the South Africans, the people of South Korea, have done. It is time for us to go and arrest William Samoei Ruto from State House, because we are on our own. Hakuna kitu kingine tunangojea, na hakuna Mkenya anangojea kuambiwa Ruto ni mbaya, wanajua ni mbaya kukuliko wewe mwenyewe. Hakuna jambo unaweza sema kwamba anaweza saidia sisi nalo. It is upon us to organize ourselves and get Ruto home. As leaders, na sisi wote wa Kenya. And I want to add this. Any person within the KK administration who chooses to remain until the end, or who chooses to leave earlier than the end, and the end can be earlier than that end you think of 2027. Wewe usikuje kutumiwa kuleta mambo ya kugawanyishwa kati yetu. Come, join us, so that we are one unit that is ready to remove Ruto. Usije kuanza kuleta mipango ingine mpya, kwa sababu you will have confirmed that you are actually an agent of William Ruto, na utakuwa ukimsaidia kutimiza yale akina Kamketu wanasema. If somebody says that he can extend the life of the presidency, na president mwenyewe amekaa hapo, na hayasema chochote, you need to know there is something more than is catching the eye. Lakini Kenyans have resolved, you are not going to intimidate any of us, any of the Kenyans, that enough is enough. Na wakati wa kwenda ni sasa, na kama sio sasa ni sasa hivi. Asante sana.
Well done. Any questions? Yes, sir. You introduce yourself, and then we take it up. Yes, sir. Yes.
Given to the members of parliament, there are some MPs who are threatening to impeach the public. We have witnessed what some of nominated members of parliament, even sitting members of parliament, where they were even expelled from the house, but yet till today they are still there. So how different will it be for Farah Malim?
Okay. First of all, on Farah, he himself knows in his own mind, and it's for me a matter of grave, it's very heavy on my heart, because I've known Mheshimiwa Farah. Used to be a reformist, campaigned for him seriously in Dadaab, against that time an ODM candidate, and we won for Wiper. Therefore, it doesn't give me any pleasure. Even if, because there's that thing they always follow in the Constitution, unless somebody resigns in writing to Mr. Speaker, right? He will still sit there, like those renegade Jubilee MPs who are expelled. We know this. But beyond that, if you talk about the 13th Parliament, I repeat my earlier comments, that Parliament was impeached by the people of Kenya, led by the Gen Zs, on the 25th of June last year. So they lack moral authority to do anything. If the Wiper MPs were not in the majority, but a very strong, solid team, we even stood against impeachment, because they said, they heard what Kenyans were said, kufa driver, kufa makanga. Even if they bring that motion to oppose impeachment, but have we not heard Mr. Muturi tell them, bring it on, impeach him. But before you impeach him, please note you have been impeached by the people. That is the situation as it is. It's only that you cannot get arrest all of them like the Koreans did. And please, the reason the president of South Korea was arrested in State House was because he acted in contravention of the Constitution by declaring illegally martial law in South Sudan, in South Korea. That's why he eventually was arrested. We are talking about Mr. William Ruto, who has acted in contravention of the Constitution he swore to protect. The next round of demonstrations will go to arrest him. So, well, that's why my brother here is asking you, either pre or before or whatever, what the judge said. Let him first appear in court. It's a waste of time to call him to a compromise thing. Kumbuka, state capture of parliament. State capture of the economy by Andani. And we led by the front, we led that from the front. We went to court. And William Ruto was forced to cancel those Adani deals, but there are some still standing. Like the health sector is still state captured by Adani. We know these things. So there's a lot of work to be done. Yes, sir. Oh, another Kimani Ngunjiri. Yeah, we know one. Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes. Banangunjiri, Kenyans have gone ahead of me and ahead of us. 55,000 of them have directly petitioned the International Criminal Court. So this is serious, and I'm very proud to be a Kenyan at this time, because nobody is going to mess you up, ukiona. Nobody is going to preach fear to you. Nobody is going to even abduct you and think you are subdued, right? So, and I hope, by the way, before the 27th, the Mlolongo 4 will have been produced as well. And since it's Mr. William Ruto who makes the calls and they are released, let him also make another call, release them. We dealt with that matter before, Ngunjiri. If you're referring to Kokimuli's candidature, right, that was already given green light by a High Court judge, and then those puppets we are making reference to went on appeal. The appeal has taken has experienced inordinate delay, meriting, in fact, necessitating the president of the Law Society, Madam Faith Odhiambo, to issue a statement on that matter, saying that the court system should clear any IEBC related matter, because that appeal has been lying there for three months unattended to. But I gather the matter is coming up, I think, on the 21st now. Let us hope it gets cleared once and for all. If Kokimoli loses, fine. If she doesn't lose, then the panel should be constituted immediately. Remember, we said, if by March there's no IBC, we will go to the streets, because these people are trying to pre-rig the 2027 election. On ICC, we have no problem. In fact, I think Paul Mwangi, dealing with the 2023 demonstrations, remember we lost over 65 Kenyans, and we wrote to the ICC. We are likely, we can combine all this now, and I thank you, Ngunjiri. We will take this up, but we need to consult with Paul Mwangi and compile a very strong thing. This here, a criminal enterprise established, which is clearly in accordance with the stipulations under the Rome Statute. Yes, Madam. You see, we are saying the highest responsibility is William Ruto. I saw the headline in the Standard calling Nuruddin the chief abductor. It is Ruto who is the chief abductor. So, this is the whole thing. The government, the entire machinery, resigned. They got now his deputy president, Kindiki Kithure, poor fellow, was meant to lie. Hey, ajabu ya Kenya. But this is clearly now where we are, and I think this is unstoppable. Kenyans now know the truth, and they are not going to sit and be intimidated anymore. Kwa hivyo, wa Kenya, tujitayarishe. Asanteni.
Wajibu wetu ni kuishi kwa upendo, kutoka ziwa mpaka pwani, kaskazini na kusini.